And guess what? It's sadly I missed you guys for Black History Month. I'm sorry. I had to let Ralph go ahead and do his solo for Black History Month. But it's Fat Tuesday. We're gonna be okay. We got a bunch to talk about today. Women's National Women's Month. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. A lot more today on King's Corner. So welcome back to King Corner. It's Fat Tuesday, as I mentioned earlier, the first day of March, National Women's Month. And what an appropriate time. We're going to have the State of the Union address tonight on television. The president will formally announce his person that he wants to be on the Supreme Court, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first time for a Black woman in all these years. We're making history, and we'll talk about more of that in a few minutes. But first of all, Ralph, what's up, man?
How you doing, man? I missed you the last show, so
Hey,
I look forward to getting back to normal.
well, it's normal. It's always going to be normal. But today's topic, today's topic is minding your business. You know, folks need to mind their business sometimes. And as we talk about minding your business, what do I mean by that? I mean Black-owned businesses in the Black community. And you know, I love to call it the beloved community because that's what Martin Luther King said. And we got a few guests today. We have Danny Simone Singerman. She's going to be first up because it's always ladies first or queens first. And we have a good friend of mine, Kelvin Williams. And we have Mr. What's his name? Here we go. Rodney Matthews. Rodney, I'm acting brand new, like I don't remember your name. Okay. A little I'm sorry. Don't, take it to my, what is it? Don't charge it to my head or my heart, charge it to my head. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started with ladies first. And for those of you who are able to see us, you'll see that Danny is not on camera today, but you can hear her lovely voice. And if you get a chance to see anything from her today, it would always be of her wonderful, beautiful, beautiful fashions and her beautiful style. She is an entrepreneur, a Black businesswoman in our city. And you can find her designs online. So you don't have to worry, well, if I don't live in Hartford, I can't get to her designs. You can always find her online. She'll tell you more about that in a little while. But I wanted to talk to Danny today because she's working with an organization that made a promise. And I want to read you what that promise was, which is what made me decide to talk to her. It's Healthy Hartford Hub. Their slogan is, we will support Black-owned and all small businesses all the time. And I said, I got to get her on so she can talk to me and tell me what that organization meant by that. Welcome to the show, Danny Simone Singerman. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Talk to me about that slogan from Healthy Hub.
Okay, so basically obviously it was just Black History Month, and for the month of February, we were profiling and highlighting Black-owned businesses within the community of Hartford or that serve Hartford residents. And basically, to me, it was really important that it didn't just stop once February 28th hit. I felt like we need to be supporting Black-owned businesses 365, not just for one of the shortest month of the year. And then, of course, small business in general as well, but definitely Black-owned business is crucial to our community.
So what kind of support are you guys offering?
Okay, so in terms of support, there are several things that we're doing. One thing that we are doing is just providing like promotion and, sharing and spreading the word, because every single person that learns about your business, that is going to be another person that you could either, they could purchase from your business, they could share your business, and support you in some way. So one thing that I was doing in February was I was doing interviews. I would interview Black-owned businesses, and then I would share those interviews live on our stories. So you can check it out at Healthy Hartford Hub on Instagram and on Facebook. You can see the interviews that I did with the Black-owned businesses. And what actually happened was the community came out in force to support them, because they were able to see the people, hear their stories, learn more about their businesses and what they do for the community.
So a lot of promotion. Now, there's some folks who don't like promotion. I'm not going to name any names, but hey, sometimes you need to be promoted. Word of mouth is a big, big, big deal. And I'm glad to see that you guys were plastering that all over the place. One of the businesses that I'm hoping that you do more promotion with is your very own business, which is called what again?
My business is called By Danny Simone Studio. It is custom wedding dresses.
Talk to me about that.
Okay, so yeah, I started my business.
Promote that business.
So, and also to your point of what you just said, like some people don't like promotion. I just kind of want to know, like, everybody isn't your customer, but they might know somebody who is your customer. So for me, every person that is listening might know somebody who's getting married, or their cousin or their sister or their daughter is getting married. So they don't have to be the one. There are other people who could possibly utilize my services. So, I design custom wedding dresses. I've been designing since I was a little girl, and I was born in Hartford. This dream that I had was super big, and it was bigger than what I ever could imagine. And one thing that I've been doing recently is I have been working to train specifically Black women, but I also say BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, and people of color, in sewing, fashion tech, and digital illustration, as well as digital marketing, because these are some skills that, are super important within any kind of business. And I really want Black women to kind of be at the helm of the manufacturing movement in this country.
So I got a question. I have a question in the chat real quick. And Ralph, I'm sorry, but let me ask this question. It came from the chat. How difficult, in your opinion, Danny, was the pandemic for small Black-owned businesses? Did some of them fold during the pandemic? How did your business do?
So for me, it was interesting because weddings were really hard hit. Anybody who did a wedding-based business, so many closed. Like, especially if you're like a venue, if you do anything like that, a lot of them closed. For me, I was in the process of getting my dresses into like 50 stores all around the country, and then that went away. So I've been trying to build that back up. So really, the pandemic, it showed us a lot of things that were wrong with the supply chain, and small businesses really felt it. But then the thing that I really love, though, even though we were in this really dark time, is that small businesses stepped up, especially Black-owned businesses. Like, I had a lot of people who were making masks and PPE. They were doing things like bringing food to their community. So they figured out ways to help regardless of what was going on.
Okay.
I would like to ask a question. Basically, does your business spin over to like prom dresses and things of that nature?
So it does. I don't design prom very much lately. Not really. Like, I used to all the time design a lot of prom dresses, but really a prom dress and a wedding dress are the same dress. It's just maybe the color, that's really the difference.
Right.
But I do prefer to work with brides more than anything else, because it's just,
I just wanted to tell you that from the chat room, you have DJ Dee, who does her jazz music sessions on Sunday mornings. From
Sunday morning.
She's on here saying, "Hey, Danny."
Hey, DJ Dee. Let's connect.
You said let's connect, DJ Dee. So connect. Get one of those gowns that she's designing. I want to ask you another question. You talked about promotions and promotions everywhere. You also mentioned the acronym BIPOC. You want to tell me what that is?
Yeah, so it means Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So just basically non-white people. That's basically what it means.
Okay. And you're promoting everywhere. Now, understand that there are people who are listening to us right now who are on different islands, the UK. We got a large listenership or viewership, and they might be interested in your design. So how can they contact you?
So you can check me out on Instagram at by Danny Simone Studio. You can also check me out on, just on the internet at my website. It's by DannySimoneStudio.com. Those are the two best places to reach out.
So you guys don't sleep on Danny. I've seen some of her designs and they are beautiful. And this is a queen that's in business. Thank you for joining us today on Queen's Corner, or is it King's Corner today?
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next guest. Danny, stick around. If you got something to say to any of the kings that are here, you can jump in. If you got an answer to a question, that's good. It's beginning of National Women's Month, and we know that President Biden is nominating Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. So there's room for queens here on King's Corner too. Our next guest is a friend of mine I've known for a little bit of time now, actually friends with his wife and then became good friends with him. And we get in a lot of trouble together sometimes, but it's like John Lewis said, it's good trouble now. It's that good trouble. Just want everybody to know that. Mr. Kelvin Williams is the owner of Echo Cleaning and Disinfecting Service. Kelvin, welcome to King's Corner. Oh, you're on mute, brother.
Hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Thanks for having me, everybody. Hello.
So tell me about your business. How long have you been in business? Did you get a lot of good business during the pandemic? Talk to me for a minute about it.
Well, I actually started my cleaning business back in October of 1993. And, started it on the West Coast. But came here in about 94, 95, started it here and did it for quite a few years and then shut it down for a little bit. But about a year ago, in the middle of the pandemic, because I had started driving school bus for the past 17 years. We didn't know if we were going to be driving, when, or how that was going to turn out. And I looked at my wife, I said, I'm tired, but I think I might need to give this out again. And so about a year ago, I opened it back up and did a few changes. And here I am back in business again.
What kind of changes did you have to make?
Well, I had to be a little bit more open-minded. I was used to cleaning and disinfecting the old way. Even though using the sprayers have been around for 30 years or so, it's not what I was. Had been stripping and waxing floors and doing a lot of heavy-duty work and walking in and handing out business cards. Can't do that anymore. And so I had to adjust to a new way of cleaning.
So Danny mentioned that she was doing a lot of marketing. So I would imagine that your marketing, as you mentioned, had to change. What did you do? What was the new approach?
That changed drastically. I was used to walking in and talking to people. It's hard. Not acceptable anymore. So what I had to do was utilize social media, and that was Facebook. Instagram, and other whatever media was out there. And one of the things that's on Facebook is they have Facebook ads. And so one of the first thing I did was, after I came up with a new name for the business, which came up with an ad. And my first ad was disinfecting a residential up to 1,200 square feet for $120. And it allowed me to target a audience whether it was here in Connecticut and up in Massachusetts. And I can narrow it down to a certain radius. And that seemed to work for me.
I saw some of your ads on Facebook. I want to know, how did your marketing during the pandemic pan out for you?
Well, that was quite interesting. First thing was I was kicking myself for waiting so late to get into it. But it panned out quite well. Most of my customers, though, came from Massachusetts. I had a few in the surrounding neighborhood, but it came in spurts. It allowed me to adjust to my own speed and learn a little bit more about the disinfecting, the different chemicals that were out there, and find out what the people were concerned about as well.
Did you find that your business increased during the pandemic or decreased? And what kind of customers were you getting?
Yeah, it definitely increased. As anytime that the numbers went up, when the numbers went up, the business increases. If the numbers go down, the business goes down. So I think people started to get a little lax. Remind me, what was the other question you asked?
I was wondering whether or not the pandemic made your business better or worse, and what kind of customers were you getting?
So, as I was saying, the numbers increased the business, and the customers that I was getting, a lot of daycares, some small office buildings, but a lot of people were waiting until they actually got COVID to call us. They didn't really care at first. It was like, but as soon as somebody in their house got it, they were calling. The daycares, as long as those numbers were up, they had us in there every week, once a week. Now my daycares have dropped it down to once a month.
What were the demographics of the people that you were serving? Was it predominantly Black, white, Spanish, or all over the board?
It predominantly, when it came to the daycares, it's Spanish and white. The residential was a mixture. I had white, Spanish, and Blacks. But the daycares were basically Spanish and white, and only in certain targeted areas. Matter of fact, one of them you might have saw in the news a few weeks ago is Little Rascals Daycare, Little Rascals 2, that was on the Channel 30 News a few weeks ago. That's one of the daycares that I do. But yeah, the numbers are what's playing the making a significance in how much business is generated.
Question: what makes your business eco? Do you use eco-friendly chemicals? What actually? How did you come up with that name, and what makes it eco?
Well, it's actually pronounced eco because it's eco-friendly. And, one of the things that I always do, my wife will tell you, I dig. I do research before I get into anything. And one of the issues I was having is that, throughout the years, stripping and waxing floors, I was using chemicals that at times I was inhaling, and it was having an effect on my body. There were times I get done stripping the floor and I couldn't get up in the morning because I could just feel it in me, the allergies and stuff. When I started to go into the disinfecting, the first thing that people were asking me, what chemicals are you using? My kids have asthma. They have this. Will it sting this? And so I did some research on what is the OSHA's recommendation for using electrostatic spray. And they came up with two that they absolutely felt was the best. And one of them is a hypochloric acid. And when you hear acid, it kind of sets off an alarm. But this type of acid is different. It's just as strong as bleach or stronger, but it's safer. It won't rust. It won't stain anything. And you just spray it and let it dry. See? And it's something that our body produces naturally. And what it really is electrified water and salt. That's all it is. And the other one is a chlorine dioxide. Is, bleach actually has chlorine in it, but this is a derivative of that. And it does the exact same thing. That's where we came up with eco cleaning. Any of our products that we use is safe to use around children, pets. It won't harm you if you're inhaling anything, and it won't harm your skin and so forth.
Kelvin, have you converted any people to more eco-friendly uses of chemicals and or different practices?
No. What I found is that right now, I think what it is with this pandemic, what it has done is, I think it's made us all a little bit, how do I put it, a little stubborn, for lack of a good term, because I think what everybody has been focusing on is wearing the mask. And everybody is tired of feeling like they're being forced to do something they don't want to do. When we talk about the cleaning solutions, everybody still just wants to use the bleach or the Fabuloso. That's what they're used to. That's common to them. And I think it's just a resistance of being open to change.
Did that impact your cost by using eco products?
Say that again?
Did that impact your cost, the cost of doing business by using eco products?
You know what? Actually, when it came to the disinfecting, it really didn't. In the beginning, it did because I was using a different type of machine. But with the machines that we have now, technically, I'm probably, if I go in and do something that is about 1,600 square feet, I'm not even using a gallon of solution.
Okay.
So I'm actually making a larger profit margin. I remember the first job my wife actually went with me to do. It was a residential daycare. And it took us an hour to do. And I think we only used about a gallon of solution. My profit margin was over 200%.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Kelvin, have you marketed to doctor's offices?
I have. And it's a little difficult getting into the doctor's offices. They, for the most part, have their own cleaning services. And most of the offices, especially in the Hartford area, when it comes to cleaning, it's pretty much locked in. There's a union and so forth. So everything is locked in unless you get to doctor's offices that are private practices and who are willing to venture outside of that.
Do you do many churches?
Yes. Matter of fact, beginning of, we're in 22, 21, the first church I did was Ebenezer Tabernacle on Main Street here.
Main Street, right.
Yeah. And my daughter and I actually went in and did that one. And we knocked that one out. And then there's a few in Springfield that I've done.
I want to ask you more about on the business angle, the business side of this. And this is, these are questions that, people who don't live in Hartford and can't really take advantage of you can listen to and probably get some sort of king talk philosophy. What do I mean by that? I want to know, and I like to ask these questions on King's Corner because this is where you can come get concrete conversations about the community. And I want to know, what do you expect? What's your ideal customer? Especially when you're working with our community, what is your ideal customer? And after you answer that question, I'm going to want to know, what should they expect from you?
Ideal customer. I just want like a customer that I can know that I like repeat business. It's the first thing. But I want a customer that's going to communicate if there's an issue. If there's anything that goes wrong, if you give you an example, some of my daycares, it's a little tough for them sometimes to maintain a weekly service because they're parents that don't pay or can't pay. And the pandemic has affected everybody financially. And so one of the first things that I expect is communication. Come talk to me if there's an issue. If I have to adjust the price, I'm willing to work with you. See? So that's what I first and foremost expect of them. And if you can't pay, get on the phone, call me. Let's work out something. What should they expect from me?
Yeah.
That I'm going to show up every week when I say that I'm going to, and I'm going to get the job done. You don't have to worry about me calling. You don't have to worry about calling. I'm going to get the job done. What you expect from me is I'm going to be efficient. I'm insured. The work will be done, and I do the work.
Reason why I asked that question is because I hear a lot of nightmare stories about using a black merchant and that black merchant not doing the things that they were expected to do. Mm-hmm. Or I hear from the black merchant that the black merchant, I hear from the black merchant that the customers are trying to get some sort of break, especially in our neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. Break so that's why I asked you that question. Now, what is your thought on that?
Unfortunately, that happens a lot. We seem to take advantage of each other. We seem to expect that just because we're brothers or sisters, that we should be giving each other that break. And what everyone's got to respect is we all got a business to run. And we can't give our work away for free. But it gets a little, I run into it quite often. And they're not happy about it, but you have to stick your ground. You have a business to run.
Yeah. Besides, you have a problem gaining access to capital?
I've never had that problem, and I tell you why. When I started the business this time, I had $500 set aside that I set aside for fishing. I love to fish. That money was supposed to be for fishing. And I set aside that money, and I restarted this business on $500. Okay. And what I did was I've never, ever have used capital on my business. And one of the things that I've absolutely refused to do, and I would tell anybody going into business, don't spend the money on all the expensive equipment that everybody else is using. Start small. If you got to use used equipment, do that. If you got to barter with your customer who has an equipment sitting there, do that. They'll give it to you and start from there. And as your profit grows, you're able to go out and buy newer equipment, which is what I did. I started with a machine that was $99. After the first job, I was able to go to a $300 machine. So capital, I never had to worry about it.
Thank you.
You're definitely minding your business. I love that part where you said you get used items. because you don't have to have the brand new ones, but there are functioning used parts and tools that you can use. So that was a really good piece of information for you kings out there listening. That's one of the things that you should be writing down. You're not always trying to get the flashiest, brightest, shiniest. Sometimes you just want to get something that's going to get the job done. So
if I can add something to that, Andre,
sure.
You know, most of us, that's one of the top reasons that our minority businesses fail, because we've been conditioned that we have to go out and get a loan and get all this capital to get the business going, when you really don't have to do that. We've been conditioned to think that way. And that's how most of us end up in the red, and our businesses close within the first 2 years. And so
you gave us a really nice nugget right there. That's a pearl of wisdom right there. Thank you for joining us today, Kelvin. I'm sure that there's going to be a chance that we're going to get a chance to work together through ECO. I got the name right this time, finally. I'm sure there's going to be a chance for us to get a chance to work together. We talked about it earlier, and I do have some people I'm going to, steer some clients your way. How can we get in contact with you?
Well, as you can see on the shirt, I don't know if you can see the number, Eco Cleaning.
It's really small.
Huh?
Say it again.
It's really small.
Okay. Eco Cleaning and Disinfecting Service at 860-983-5227. You can also Google me. There's a website there. I'm actually on the front page of Google Ads, and which doesn't cost anything either. We're open 24/7.
So Danny, who was here earlier, Danny Simone Singerman, says that she had to walk away from an opportunity recently because it required too much capital. So, your information, your suggestion is probably going to go far for people who are listening right now and who are interested in a startup business themselves. So again, thank you, Kelvin. Danny, thanks for the questions. Some of the questions that I've been asking you guys have been coming from the chat. I'm going to move on.
Can I just speak to that real quick, Andre?
Surely.
Yeah. Just wanted to say, absolutely, I agree, Kelvin. That is one of the biggest problems with small Black-owned businesses, small businesses, that we try to take on things, or the hot thing right now is to work with venture capitalists to do these different pitch contests and stuff where you're going to give away your equity and all that. And so recently I was looking at a factory that is probably going to be closing down, and I just fell in love, and I was having all these stars in my eyes, and the factory is insanely large, and I know there are ideas I have that could maybe make it work, but the fact is we would have needed $2 million and to raise $2 million in a short amount of time. And you see all these success stories of people who do it, so then you feel oh, I could do that. But then it's okay, I had to sit down and really think about it and think about, okay, the stress that it's going to cause to try to make that happen, giving away part of the business when, I'm my business is not new, but this part, the training Black women and BIPOC and the sewing and all that stuff, that part is new. And I don't want just anybody to come in and take that and just, not make sure that the people we train own the business, that's super important to me that we have employee ownership. So if I went ahead and figured out how to get that 2 million, that dream would go away. And how would that serve the community? So it's super important. Even if an opportunity comes to you and you're oh, let me do this. Let me get that money real quick and put it together, or go to this venture capitalist or whatever. Just know the exchange that you're giving away has caused so many businesses to go under in a short amount of time.
Yes, exactly.
Now, my takeaway is you got to start somewhere. And sometimes that might be a humble beginning. And I'm glad to know that both Kelvin and Danny Simone Singerman and my next guest decided to start in our community. That brings me to our next guest, Mr. Rodney Matthews, who I've known for a little bit of time now. I've actually gone to him and He's hooked us up, the organizations I work with T-shirts, and I have my eye on a few other items that I'll eventually get my money together and go over there and talk to him, because I want to pay this brother his money. Rodney Matthews, welcome to King's Corner.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on the show and to be sitting amongst these other business owners. This is my vibe. This is my tribe. And, thanks for having me.
And the name of your business is Exclusive Lines, and you sell a bunch of things. Talk to me about it for a moment.
Okay. My business is called Exclusive Lines. And what Exclusive Lines is, I started out actually, my main business is called Sign Design and Banner, but Exclusive Lines is an extension of that. And what Exclusive Lines is back in, I say like 87, 88, I decided to open up a business, a sign shop. And it got slow in the beginning. So I started selling T-shirts. And I would get these T-shirts and get transfers and print these different T-shirts. I would go to the nightclubs and sell them, all the Black Bart shirts and the Malcolm X shirts and things like that. I was selling those things. And the equipment that I had also allowed me to make some personal stuff. So I would sell shirts that were already made by artists, but then I would wear my own shirts. And then people would start asking me about my shirts and how'd you get that shirt or would you make that? And people started wanting to get their own personal stuff. So I decided to open up a store called Exclusive Lines, where I would only sell things that were from, inner city designers and people that were exclusive. So the only person you would be able to get these things from was me. So I would team up with different designers and put their products in my store. And it was an exclusive place for up and coming designers to showcase their things. And it just kind of branched off until all the things that I do now.
Well, I know there's a jacket I want you to make for me. I'm trying to copy off Kanye West. I saw this jacket. Well, anyway, that's another show. We'll talk about that. But Rodney, I've been knowing you for a while, but recently I saw something on Facebook, because as you guys know, I canvass Facebook and soon to be Instagram troller. And when I was on Facebook, I saw your video, and I wanted to play that first and then talk to you about it, if you will.
Okay, great. You ever notice people that have the flashiest things want to give you the least amount for your product or service? They'll come in with a nice car, they'll come in with a nice hairdo and sneakers and everything. But when it comes to you, they don't want to value you, I used to have a sneaker store I still have a sneaker store next to my store, just to give you a story. And people would come in and they would say, hey, I need you to make me a shirt to match these sneakers, or I need you to make this shirt for my friend that just passed away, but I need it to match these sneakers. So I'll say, okay, that shirt's going to be, I don't know, let's say $50. Sometimes it was $30. And they're like, yo, man, what do you mean $30? And I'm like, yeah, that's your man, right? He's on the shirt. You want to get that shirt with your friend on it. So $30 is too much, but you just went to the store next door and spent $120 on a pair of Nikes or Adidas. You spend almost $200 on those sneakers that don't have anything to do with your friend or your boy or your girl or whatever. But you expect me, you don't want to spend $30 on something that's really, connected to them. So I never understood that. I understood that, you're basically saying to me, I don't want you to make money. I'm going to give Nike and all these other big companies my money. But the things that are most important to me, I want to spend less on. Don't fall for that. Stick by your guns. That's how I stayed in business, because I stuck to my guns. Know your worth.
All right, man. So I think you have to learn how to express yourself. You didn't express yourself enough in that. So tell me how you really feel right now.
Well, it's difficult. I just heard Calvin talk a little bit about that. I'm going to quote somebody, and one of the quotes is, "Your pricing is a part of your branding. If you're the cheapest, you can't be the best, and if you're the best, you cannot be the cheapest." Okay, and people want you to give the best of you. They want 100% from you. And as a Black business, they want 190% from you, but they don't want to give you that value for yourself. So you really have to, in business, you know, when I first started out, I fell for the what I call the okie doke is, oh yeah, you know, give it to me for a fraction of the price, and I'm going to tell a lot of people about you, and I'm going to use you a lot, and I'm going to always come to you. So when you're first getting in, you're just happy to get an order. You're just happy to get business. So you're doing this stuff, and you never get return business from them. You know, and I had to learn. I've been in business over 30 years, and I had to learn that if I get you on price, I'm going to lose you on price. Because there's certain people that just come into business just for price. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, because that's what they are, but they're never going to give you what your worth is. And if you want to be successful in business, you really have to set what you want for your price. You know, I get a lot of people coming to me saying, oh, the guy down the street is cheaper, but I'm like, he doesn't have my expenses. He doesn't have my talent. He doesn't have what's in me. So please don't compare me to that person. I respect whatever that person is doing, but if that person's rent is $50 a month and mine is $100 a month, I'm going to have to charge more. And I want, you know, I never want a customer on price because I know I'm going to lose them on price. So that's what I tell businesses nowadays.
Someone said,
I was going to ask, does your location have an impact on your business, or do you look at staying where you are?
I mean, with the internet now, location really doesn't matter. The old brick and mortar model is not really as relevant as it used to be, because if you set yourself up online, you can be anywhere, and I can ship things overnight. You know, everyone uses Amazon. Amazon is where, you know, you don't know where it is, but it's at your door the next day. So businesses have to be able to pivot and shift to that. You know, if you have a service where you actually make goods that can go out, if you have to physically go somewhere, that's a little different. But for the most part, if you can create a product and ship it, then, you know, that's what the world is open. So location really doesn't matter, because where I'm at, I have parking issues, but I tell them, hey, listen, call us up, tell us what you want. And then when you get here, we'll just bring it out to you. You don't even have to worry about parking. So that the internet helps a lot in that area.
How long have you been in brick and mortar?
I've been in a brick and mortar since '94. I was in East Hartford for a while. Then I came to Hartford. But, you know, I've been in a brick and mortar for a while because I was always under the impression that, you know, you had to have a store to really legitimately be in business, you know, and you had to have a high traffic area. But with that comes high rents and things like that. But again, this was pre-internet, because before people would drive around and look for stores and looking at what we used to call yellow pages. But now people can just find you online. So that whole model has changed. But, you know, the brick and mortar, I'm trying to move away from that model a little bit, because the internet is just so wide. I could talk to someone in Chicago and do the same business that I could with someone in West Hartford.
Rodney, back to what you were saying about someone coming in and you not wanting to get them on price or on the money, on the dollar sign. Do you find that your customers that are doing that, questioning how much you're charging, will they go down the street to the white guy and give him the money and not give him a hard time?
Right. I get that a lot, you know, but everything, you know, with our people, and when I say that, I mean our Black and Hispanic people or whatever, we have trust issues, you know. So when they see a Black business come up, first of all, they don't trust you, just like a white business wouldn't trust you, or when you walk into a department store, they don't trust you. They think you're going to steal something. Our people have that same fear when they're dealing with a Black business. I get people all the time that saying, hey, you know what, that's why I don't do business with Black businesses or whatever. All businesses make mistakes. All businesses have their learning curves and things like that. But we, from our own people, we get it even harder. And they'll say, that's why I go to the white man. But they have to understand that the white man has the resources. They've been in business a lot longer. Usually it's a business that they've had handed down from their family. So when you have a new Black business, you have to give them a chance. You know, you really can't go in there and put them in I always tell people, don't call me a Black business. I want to be a business first. You know, I want to be a business first. And judge me based on that. Now, if I do something bad and we're brothers and sisters, you need to pull me aside and say, hey, you know what, this could have been better. How can you do it better? Because I'm going to respect you more, opposed to you just saying, okay, that's why I'm going to go back to, you know, people at the mall or some other, you know, suburban area and do business.
I asked that question because, again, here at King's Corner, we want concrete community conversations that are real and conversations that are actually happening in real time in our community. Kelvin, you had something?
Yeah, I wanted to comment on something that Rodney mentioned in his earlier statement about know your worth. Very important. I agree with that, Rodney. If you got to set a goal. What are you willing to least amount you want to make? $25 an hour? Then be confident with that and don't let anyone talk you out of it. And most of the time, like what he's saying is they will kind of nickel and dime you and make you believe that they're going to bring all this business to you. And what end up happening is you don't get it. And know your worth, be comfortable with it, and stick with it. You have to be willing to gamble on that.
Somebody in the chat just said something about Black and brown people are used to price gouging in our communities. What say you?
I mean, it is, you know, because they feel like you're hustling. They feel like you're not, you know, you're trying to get on. So they feel like I don't need to give you all the money you want. I just want to give you a little bit of money that you need. So I'm helping you out. So they kind of treat you as if it's a charity case. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, you know what, Rodney? You know, I know you want 25 for that shirt, but I'll give you 10 because I want to support your business. But if you give me 10, you're not supporting my business. You know, you're actually borrowing from me at that point, you know? And it's funny because nowadays everyone wants to start their own business. You know, these small Black businesses are popping up, pop-up shops and everything like that. And now these people are starting to understand, like, okay, well, if you don't want to support Black businesses, what makes you think Black people are going to support your small Black business coming up? So you have to change your mentality. And because once you go out in the business, you're on stage now. So now all these people are coming to me like, yo, how come I'm not getting any business? Well, it's all about relationships. Do you have relationships with other Black businesses? Do you have you supported other Black businesses? Because they're not going to support you if you haven't supported them. It's all about us supporting each other.
So it sounds like there's definitely trust issues.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Do they just jump into those attitudes? Why do you think that there are trust issues?
I mean, I just think
on either side.
I think it's just a deep rooted thing. Like we just don't trust ourselves. We really don't. And it's something that's been handed down from generations, you know, that, oh, don't trust a Black business. They're going to be late. They're not going to be on time. You know, and it's true in some cases, but it's also true in every nationality. You know, I know some real sorry white businesses. I know some sorry Hispanic businesses. So it you know, we just happen to be minorities. So we may be magnified in that sense, but at the end of the day, it's about the person, because I'm a person that opened up a business, and my business is here to help people, not to gouge people or whatever. When anybody that's in business that provides a service, what you're doing is you're providing a service to help people. And I just have to get you to trust me. You know, I'm not going to get rich off of one client. I mean, some people do, but for the most part, you need the whole community to support you in order for you to get to your goals. So if I'm not trusted, I'll never be proven to be successful at all, because that's how you're going to know if you're successful, is if people trust you.
Is there a way that Black-owned businesses, or as you say, just businesses, can garner that trust? Is there some way, can they give back to the community in some kind of way, and therefore create equity so that the community is going to trust them more? Yeah,
and I mean, one of the things that I do is I hire a lot of interns. A lot of the high school kids come through me. I've been doing that for over 15 years. So now, you know, I got your kid here. So now you're thanking me for giving your kid a job, or giving them some experience in the workplace. So now you're shopping with me because you got a chance to know me, and you know that I'm not here as a fly-by-night shop. I'm not going to be someone that's going to rip you off, and I'm actually giving your kids skills. So by hiring kids and people in the community and putting on events and things like that, that does help build some of the trust, but you really just have to be there. I do a lot of shirts for, unfortunately, the people that are, lost to violence and gun violence in the streets. I do a lot of those shirts. So I get a chance to meet a lot of the families that their worst moments, and I can gain their trust at that time because I'm helping them through a situation, because it's not all about price at that point. It's all about just making sure that they get through that funeral service the way, they want to celebrate their loved one. So I was able to gain a lot of trust in the community by offering a service at their worst hour. So, in any business, you just have to find a way to connect with people and let people know who you are, not the fact that you're a business, because a business is a thing, but you're that human person inside of that business.
So my next question is for anybody, Kelvin, Rodney, or Danny, to answer. And it's really, if you can talk to me about some of the joys and challenges of being a Black business person in our community.
I mean, I enjoy watching people wear products that I create. I do signs, banners, T-shirts. I love seeing a new business open that I put their sign. That's the joy for me, is just seeing my works out there and people actually succeeding and coming back to me saying, hey, you know what, that sign really got me more business. Those business cards really helped me out. So I get a lot of joy in helping, small businesses and making them look more professional. A lot of small businesses don't really put the emphasis on signs, banners, and things that they're marketing. They come at below the bar sometimes. And if I can help you look more professional than you really are, then you find that those people are actually, benefiting from your service. And that makes me feel good.
How about Kelvin or Danny?
For me, one of the joys is I just love wedding dresses and design and just being creative and just, creating something for a really special day. Like, I get to be a part of people's love story, and that's really exciting and cool just to look back on all the years of making these dresses and all that. And the thing, I would say support, that's one of the most difficult parts, where you don't get as much support, maybe locally or maybe within the Black community. But I do know that it's probably been more because I haven't put myself out there as much as I should have over the years. And like in the last couple of years, I've been definitely, thinking of more strategies and things like that to put myself out there. Another thing I do though is like I put other people on. Like I have a Facebook group. It's called the Black and Bridal Association, and it is for Black bridal designers. And I share their dresses. I share what they're making, and I, help them with, marketing things, sales things, all that sort of thing. So it does feel really good to give back in a more tangible way as well.
So what I usually do at the last part of our show, I didn't think we were going to have time to do it, but we went through a lot of information here today. And I'm hoping that my viewers and my people who are listenership, have been able to glean what they could do with customers and any business people or people who want to become business owners, what they can do to be good participants in this whole Black business thing. At the end, I usually do something called wisdom words. And what I ask that we do is listen to the wisdom words, and then I get each of you to give me your impression of what that means, your take on it. And if you have any wisdom words to share, this would be the time. A saying, a poem. The first one here tonight is, the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. And Stephen Biko said that. Everybody knows Stephen Biko, South Africa. I'll repeat it. The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. What does that mean to you? What did you get from that? What is your takeaway?
So
You didn't know you were going to.
Basically, it's control. If they have your mind, they control your behavior and your desire to, deal with your situations. And it's because they've got your mind to think a certain way.
Yeah. Negativity.
The only thing that I get out of that is never let them see you sweat.
Right. I have a phrase: good people are good because they've come to wisdom through failure. Wow. They've learned from their mistakes for the most part.
Wow. I have one more during this King talk. I have one more. The only people I owe my loyalty to are the ones who never made me question theirs.
Yeah, that's deep. I like that.
I mean, it has a lot to do with our conversation that we had tonight about, the trust issues that we have back and forth.
Yeah. So I came up with this sweatshirt. I don't know if you can see it. I'll hold it up here. But basically, it says Black businesses matter, and it's right over the lives, because the lives of Black businesses matter. And I created this because I had a few extra shirts, and I said, you know what? Black businesses matter, and people need to understand that Black businesses matter, because we hire kids that look like us. We hire people in our community. We can actually change the world if we have more Black businesses. So it's very important for people to get into business, but most importantly, support Black businesses. At least spend 10% or 5% of your money on a Black business, and you have to consciously do that. And I mean, it doesn't have to be my business, but just find a Black business to say, hey, you know what? I did my part, because we need you. We cannot survive without our people, and I can't stress that point enough.
There's another question that we got. To all the business people, what, in your opinion, is the most important thing to have in place, to have ready before you start a business? Kelvin sort of answered this a little bit.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Rodney.
I would say a plan. I mean, a lot of people want to go into business because I heard this makes a lot of money. They want to open up a clothing store or a sneaker store. I had a cousin that opened up a package store years ago, and he thought package stores made a lot of money because, he sees people at the package store all the time, but he didn't realize that, there's not, you make money on the wines, but the other things you really don't make a lot of money on. But really, it's like a warehouse, and he was just sitting there all day. He ended up selling the business because he was just literally sitting in a store all day doing nothing but looking at all his money that was on the shelves. So you have to have a plan and understand what you want to do. Find something that you love to do, but make sure there's a need for it. Just find a need and go after that.
Good customer service is great too.
Oh yeah, you need that.
Good customer service is great. And some of our young people that are being trained, they need to work on some of that good customer service. Listen, we're getting close to the end of our show. Ralph, you want to talk to us about the cook-off?
Yeah, we're looking for nominations and things for a cook-off being planned when the COVID regulations are relaxed a little more. So we're looking for nominations, and we hope to have it this spring. The other thing that we're looking at is the possibility of crowning a king. So anybody in your community that's been working to improve your community or the quality of life for residents in their area, we need nominations for them as well. Like I said, we want to reward people who are doing the work in the community.
Everybody, thanks for being here today. Stay tuned for Level Up with Jean. She's next. I want to thank you all for being here.
Thank you too.
think we're all off the air now. So thank you guys again, and we'll be talking to you real soon.
Thank you.
Hey, have a good night,
Thank
everybody.
you so much.
Peace, peace, peace.